Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about stakeholders. And one of the funny things about stakeholders is that some of them you don't even know where they are. And in this session, I'm going to show you exactly how you could actually map them and how you could reach out to them in a way that's meaningful to them and to you. So let's take a look at this. But before I do that, I'm going to give you an illustration of a tree. Let's have a look at this tree. This is one that grows right outside my house, and it's a gulmohur tree. Big trunk right over there. That's the central purpose that actually binds it together. And then you start seeing all the branches forking out. And the higher you go, you find them getting further from each other and still further from each other, until finally you start seeing that those leaves way up there, they've got nothing to do with what appears to be the central purpose. But they're all connected, and that's what we're going to see how we could use it.
At the steps for stakeholder management. So obviously first you need to identify who your stakeholders are, list and prioritize them, but really what's really important is to find the names and faces of those people. This is the strategic piece that you need to do. Once you've done this, then we get into the piece of actually connecting and engaging with them and monitoring how our relationship with them goes. Job is actually to handle the expectations that stakeholders have of how the project is going to go. Typically starting with high expectation and then falling into this anguish about how things are not working out, and then finally somehow struggling and making it to the end. However, what we want to do is that by managing these expectations, by managing our stakeholders, we're able to smoothen that curve out and actually end up at a better place than we would have otherwise. Our stakeholders may be all over the world, and it is our business to actually see who these people are and how we can connect to them and make it worth their while. Now make a 2x2 matrix with influence and interest as the axis, and you will see there are 4 different types of stakeholders that you have to deal with: key players, important players, effective players, and others. Let's see how we have to communicate with each one of them. For key players, you need to focus your attention here, involvement in the governance and decision making. Important people, you may need to engage them and consult them on areas that they're interested in. As far as the affected are concerned, keep them informed and consult them on areas in which they know something about. As far as the least important ones might be, still keep them in the loop. You may have to shoot out some newsletters or a mail shot, and that would do the job. Let's move on to the Stakeholder Trust Net. This is one tool that can truly help you work better with your stakeholders. And now we're going to get into the details of this. Let's take a look. Stakeholders Trust Net has 8 separate parameters that you're going to be looking at. And each one of them are important for you to see how you connect with your stakeholder on them. So the first step, what we'd like you to do is actually to pick out 3 of those factors that you think are important to win your trust. 3 important factors to win your trust. What will they be? You could get a chart that looks like this. Maybe you picked communication, integrity, and competence. Put a mark next to that so you know what your pick was. Let's do a self-assessment. How do we occur to our stakeholders? So what you do is mark out for each one of those parameters on a scale of 1 to 5 where you stand, and join those lines so that you'd get a red line that you can see. This is where you stand. But what would your stakeholder pick? Take a PDF and send it to your stakeholder, to each one of the stakeholders in fact, and request them to pick out those parameters that they think are the most important to them, and actually fill it out, that spider's nest, to show you where you stand with them. Once you get the input from your stakeholder, you would get a very interesting looking picture. Your view versus the stakeholder. And you'll obviously start noticing there are some gaps over here. For example, your stakeholder might think that you handle pressure really well, but you don't think so. Or you both agree that you're both creative, co-creative, and that works really well. But there might be other areas that you want to actually work on. For example, innovation. You think you're really good, but your stakeholder says, I don't think so. Once you have this information, it's the great time to have a conversation with your stakeholder. In fact, each one of them. What would they like you to stop and why? What would they like you to start and why would that be important? And what are some of the things you're already doing which are great and they'd like you to continue doing that? Now you know specifically for each one of your stakeholders what you should stop, what you should start, and what you should keep. For example, they want you to start building more domain knowledge and present new ideas because innovation is becoming more and more key. So, in summary, the next steps are list and prioritize your stakeholders, get the names and the faces together so you know what they look like, run the TrustNet tool and then look for gaps in expectation and then take massive action to make it much better. This is Bert signing off. Have a great day ahead. Thanks a lot.